It's me, TJ Kirk. Just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things pertaining to the end of the Drunken Peasants. Some fan concerns out there, some various things going on in the community since the announcement. One of the things, probably the first and foremost thing that I want to say is that since that announcement is made, huge amounts of the fan community have just been outpouring love and support and just an extreme love and passion for the show we created, and deep sorrow to see it go. I can't tell you how many people I've heard tell me it got them through hard times, tell me it made their shitty work week better, their shitty school week better. And that's very gratifying for us to hear, because we're just a bunch of cynical stoner degenerates sitting around yammering and babbling like idiots and trying to make you laugh with juvenile humor. So to know that we actually made a genuine, lasting, and important impact on a lot of people's lives is very gratifying to all of us. There has been a segment of the community who has sought out a scapegoat, sought out a villain. And for some reason, it's been Ben that's been cast in this role of, oh, it's all Ben's fault. I just want to clarify the record and say that, Ben, 100% willing to continue the show probably in perpetuity. 100% willing to work just as hard as he always has, and he's been a hard worker to make the show a success. If you're looking for a villain who killed the show, look at me, because that's what I did. I made a decision that I no longer wanted to be a part of it, and that's my decision. That's my cross to bear. And if you're looking for someone to point the finger at and say, that's the person who ended the show, this is the face right here. I ended it because I didn't want to do it anymore. And I didn't want to do it anymore because of what I said in the last video, creative differences. Now, some people have asked, well, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean creative differences? Now, I could get into, it's like people want there to be one big reason why the show ended. They want there to be, oh my God, it must have ended because this big explosive thing. And it's just not the case. It wasn't one big thing. It was a whole lot of little tiny things, little TJ Dick size things, It's just a matter of, I have a vision for the show. I have a vision for what I want to be doing. And Ben has a vision. And, he was always very willing to acquiesce to what I wanted. And, when it comes to the creative decision making, the Drunken Peasants, he mostly tried to stand out of my way. He didn't always succeed in that because, when you have different sensibilities, they're just different. Collaboration with another person is a very difficult thing. And almost any collaboration that you have creatively has an expiration date on it, if you're realistic. Especially when you're someone like me. I can be difficult to work with. I'm very flighty. I want to change my mind at the fucking drop of a hat. If something isn't working, I'm the first person to say, let's do huge, sweeping, drastic changes to it. And that can be very jarring, and that can be very hard to go along with because I take gambles. I don't play it safe. And that can be very frustrating, and that can be very difficult. That's just the way I am. And so there was, I think, Ben as a force for mediation, Ben as a force for trying to smooth my ideas out a little bit, trying to make them more palatable, I think, to other people. He doesn't like drastic change. Now, that's not to say he gave me all this conscious wave of resistance, because he didn't. He mostly did acquiesce to everything I fucking wanted, but obviously it wasn't enough for me. And, if he shouldn't be judged for that, I should be judged for that. It just boils down to the Drunken Peasants is not the show I wanted it to be. And even though I made a valiant effort to change it and Ben made an extraordinary effort to accommodate the changes I wanted to make, it still wasn't shaping into what I wanted it to be. And I just got frustrated trying to make it that. Now, were there personal issues along the way? Obviously there were. Were those personal issues the reason that this came apart? No. The reason it came apart was completely due to professional reasons, completely due to me having a vision and him not being the right person in my mind to implement that vision. What is my vision? Well, you'll see it with my next podcast. And maybe when my next podcast comes out, you're just going to say, hey, this fucking sucks. This is not anything. I don't like this at all. This is fucking dog shit. This is insipid drivel. He should have just done the Drunken Peasants. He was better with that. Maybe I'm making a colossal fucking mistake. It's a very real possibility. I can tell you this. The Drunken Peasants makes up the majority of the money I make. The majority of it. And I just walked away from that. Even though my channel's not making a ton of money, even though Cinema for Cynics is still new and has not yet come into its own yet, I just took the most successful thing I had going and said, no, fuck this. I'd rather do something new. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about me as a motherfucker that takes risks. I'm willing to say, hey, fuck the majority of my income because it's not where my passion is. I got this far by following my passions, following my guts, following my fucking instincts. And, you know, who knows how well they've served me. Maybe if I'd been more cautious, I would be on top of the fucking shit heap right now. Maybe I would be bigger than fucking Sargon of Akkad. You know, maybe I would still be on top of the YouTube game. Or maybe I'd just be a fucking nobody. Who knows? All I can do is go by my gut, go by my instincts, and my instincts tell me that it's time to move on from the Drunken Peasants, and that's what I've done. And whether my next project is as successful or half as successful or whatever, that's going to be up for you guys to decide. But think about this. I made a conscious decision to walk away from that huge amount of income. And I do have things to fall back on. Ben didn't get the luxury of that decision. Ben just has to deal with the consequences of it. So, you know, if anything, you know, you shouldn't be blaming Ben. You should be sympathizing with him. You should feel bad for the position that I've put him in with my flightiness, with my impulsivity, with my crazy need to follow my dream at the expense of everything else. So, yeah, I think that pretty much says it on that. Now, there's a few practical concerns that people have brought up. A lot of people are worried about the content that is on the channel currently. All these videos. Pardon me. Still recovering from a cough and still smoking cigarettes like a moron. The videos on the channel, as far as I know, they should be safe. I don't see any reason why those would be taken down. The Patreon, the Drunken Peasants Patreon, that we're going to fulfill the perks for January. How those will be fulfilled, with what cast, at what time, during the course of the next month, I don't know. But I know they will be fulfilled, so you don't need to cancel your patronage just yet. After that, I have no plans on any further involvement with the Drunken Peasants beyond that point, beyond the point of fulfilling the perks for December. So beyond that, you know, I don't see any reason why the Patreon should remain open. But, you know, there's a partner in this that has to be considered, and, you know, we're going to work through that. DP on demand. Once again, I see no reason why that should go away. It's a nice, lovely archive of private shows and post shows and all kinds of extra content that didn't make it to YouTube for whatever reason. I see no reason why that should go away. I see no reason why that should vanish. A lot of people have asked us about a last minute or a last chance sort of shirt drive to get some last minute DP merch. Maybe they were thinking about buying a shirt and they never did. And now they feel like, oh shit, the podcast is over. I'm pushing majorly for a last chance DP shirt sale with all the classic shirts. And I see no reason to stop that until the sales have waned into nothing, I'd love to give fans a last chance to get that DP merch that they thought about getting, but maybe never quite got to. Another thing that I'm pushing for strongly is a Drunken Peasants DVD. I'd love to do Best of Drunken Peasants Volume 1. Ben is not convinced that would be something that would sell. I think it would. I think our hardcore fans would really appreciate stuff like that. So if you guys would like to see that, don't just let me know, because I already know you want it. Let Ben know. As far as what other properties, the DP Discord, I have no idea what the fate of that's going to be. I'm probably just going to put that entirely in Ben's hands. He can make a decision in regards to that. Is there anything else related to the Drunken Peasants? The Vimeo store, once again, I don't see any reason why that should close. I think everything that's on it will probably be on DP on demand if it's not already. So yeah. I think that pretty much covers it. If there's any other questions pertaining to DP related stuff, you can let me know in the comments section down below. If you're wondering what sort of time frame it's going to be before you see my new show with my vision, that's going to be something that's going to premiere this week. A lot of people are wondering if it's going to be on its own channel or if it's going to be on my channel. It's going to have its own channel. It's going to be its own unique property. And that will premiere sooner than you probably think. Will it be the same as DP? A lot of people have asked that. No. I think it would be crass. I think it would be insulting. I think it would be an insult to Ben if I were to just leave him high and dry and take the show that we built together and just do it without him. I think that would be terribly insulting. I think that there has, if in order for me to justify this decision that I've made, I must make a substantially different show from the Drunken Peasants. Now, it's going to be similar in some respects because it's going to involve a lot of the same people. But in terms of format and in terms of how it is monetized and how we interact with the fans, all of that is going to be drastically different. It's going to be a very different podcast with a very different structure. And like I said, maybe some of you won't enjoy it. Maybe some of you will think I'm a fucking idiot for walking away from DP, and maybe I am. But it's a decision I've made. And I hope that maybe this video has clarified some things. And I just want to say, once again, like people think that in the last video I did that I was only paying lip service to wishing Ben well, and that was not the case. People say, oh, well, it seems fake. Well, it seems fake because when you make an announcement like that, you have to be very careful about what you say or you'll say the wrong thing. So it was very carefully scripted. That doesn't take away from the sincerity of the words. Even very carefully scripting it, I really did say something that was misleading, I guess. Not really misleading, but overstating maybe something. I talked about Ben censoring me because of him taking down Drunken Peasants episode, Plan C, which is the episode that me and Scotty and Paul did without Ben. Ben says that he took that episode down because he thought that I had a copy of it and because he felt that the intro that we used for it might be a danger given Twitch's policies because it featured dildos and things of that nature, and he felt that that stood to as a threat to our Twitch partnership, basically. Now, I can't speak to his motives. You know, if that's what he says, then I'm inclined to believe him. But at the same time, when I create something that I think is good, and I think we did a really fucking good show with a lot of memorable moments that we'll never get back. When I do something like that and it's removed without my knowledge or consent, even if the intent is not censorship, the way I end up feeling about it is though I've been censored. So that's why I use that word censor. It was too strong a word. I shouldn't have said it like that. Ben may well have just been acting in the best interest of the show, and maybe his decision was spot on. Maybe that intro was a problem and it was going to create problems with Twitch. I still don't feel like it should have been removed, but that's a personal issue, and that's not the issue that divided this, okay? It wasn't like Ben took that down and I was so fucking mad that I just destroyed the show. This is a long time coming. This is something I've been mulling over in my head for a long time. I tried my best to make the show work. I tried my best to mold the show into what I really wanted it to be, and it just wasn't getting there. And I realized, look, the only way I'm going to get there is by starting a clean slate. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to give up that money. I didn't want to give up that livelihood. But no balls, no babies. You know what I'm saying? Fortune favors the bold. Sleep doesn't always favor the bold, but fortune favors the bold. So that's where my head's at. Please stop with this ridiculous narrative of Ben as the villain. If you want a villain, look no further than this guy right here. But I'm starting something new. Hope you'll join me for it. Peace.